What is the Illuminati? Is it just a figment of the imagination of conspiracy theorists? Is it just a pop culture creation for our stories that we tell in our video games and movies? Because it certainly is quite prominent in those things. You have it showing up in some of the most popular games and movies. The Illuminati shows up in Call of Duty, for example. You've got whole movies like National Treasure about Freemasonry and their what their secrets are and what's going on in America with the Masons. But it's also really just become a meme. It's become a joke. I hear a lot of kids saying Illuminati confirmed. You see it all over the internet. People just joking about this organization. Is it just a joke though? It also shows up in children's cartoons. Why is it that Tom and Jerry is referencing the Illuminati? Why is it that DuckTales has a eye chart hidden in the background saying, ask about Illuminati? What's going on with this? Should you ask about the Illuminati? I would say yes, you should. And it's not just a fantasy. It's not just a creation for the media. It's a real organization. It was founded in 1776 by this man, Adam Weishaupt. And this organization, the name Illuminati, means that they view themselves as enlightened, that they know something that most of the world does not. And with that knowledge, they feel that they have the right to reshape things to their will. They think that they understand things that the average person does not. And so they feel free to try to change things as they see fit. Organizations like Freemasonry and the Illuminati have had a vast impact on shaping the modern world. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. This is not only the motto of the Grand Masonic Lodge in France, but it is the motto of France itself. The French Revolution was largely controlled by these organizations. They were working to reshape France. And so we see on important documents for both America and France and other revolutionary documents around the world, lots of Masonic symbolism. You see the same symbolism on these documents. Here we have the Eye of Providence on the Declaration of the Rights of Man. You also have the Ouroboros symbol. You have the Liberty Caps. You have the breaking of chains. And all of this symbolism is quite prominent in these secret societies. You also have this image is made to look out much like the Ten Commandments. Because ultimately, what Masonry and the Illuminati are trying to do is replace, or what they've already done, really. Their goal is to replace the church and state of the time. So you look at groups like the Jacobins. You had the Jacobins and the Girondins, which were two prominent groups during the French Revolution. And this was really two of these secret societies going at each other. You had the Freemasons on the Girondin side, and the Bavarian Illuminati was behind the Jacobins. In the American Revolution, you had the primary meeting place for the revolution. It was called the headquarters of the revolution, was the Green Dragon Tavern. And this tavern itself was a Masonic lodge. Here you have the square and compass, one of the most prominent Masonic symbols that you see. It says where we were to plan the night for the Boston Tea Party is what this is referencing down here, this little note. So, and this is a drawing of course, the Green Dragon Tavern. So, this is not a fantasy. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is simply history that these secret societies played a massive role in these revolutions and the shaping of the modern world. Here's a letter, a correspondence of letters between George Washington and a man named George Washington Snyder. George Washington Snyder wrote to the first president of the United States about the Bavarian Illuminati and the threat that he felt that they posed to society. Now, George Washington himself was a Freemason, and in this correspondence, he essentially says that he believes that the Bavarian Illuminati is a real thing, that they do pose a threat to society, but that he believes that Freemasonry is good, that Masonry has not been infiltrated by the Illuminati, and that it is not a corrupt danger to society like the Illuminati itself. He also equates he says, "It is not my intention to doubt the doctrines of the Illuminati, or that the principles of Jacobinism had not spread in the United States. On the contrary, no one is more fully satisfied of this than I." So he also says here, if they are susceptible of separation. In George Washington's mind, the Bavarian Illuminati and the Jacobins were deeply tied together. He thought you could barely even separate these, if at all. So, what George Washington Snyder was saying was that the Bavarian Illuminati had infiltrated Freemasonry and that they were working to reshape our society. Washington disagreed, but he did know of the Illuminati and the threat that they posed to society. So, this is not a fantasy. This is just simply history. This is the history of France, of America, of the world. These secret societies are perhaps the most important thing to understand when looking at these revolutions. So you really have to consider, why is it that you're not taught about these things in school? If the meeting place of the revolution was the Green Dragon Tavern, this Masonic headquarters, why is it that we're not taught about that? Why is it that most people are unaware that the majority of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons? These organizations, whatever you think of them, they were very important in the shaping of our world. To deny that is to be ignorant or dishonest. Now, later on in American history, there was a man named William Morgan. He was a Freemason himself, but he decided to write a book exposing some of the secrets of Masonry. Now, Freemasonry includes many oaths and secrets that Masons must swear to uphold as they progress through the ranks. But William Morgan decided he was going to expose this to the world. And he wrote a book explaining the first 3 degrees of Freemasonry. For doing this, the Freemasons in America got together, they murdered this man, and they worked to cover it up. But this was exposed to the American public. And the first third party in America was formed, the Anti-Masonic Party. There was a mass movement to stand against Freemasonry and its vast influence in our government and in our society in general. This movement included men as prominent as John Quincy Adams. Many Freemasons of the time ended up leaving the order because they realized that what they were a part of was not good. They realized that the organization that they were a part of had lied to them. In fact, if you look at the writings of men like Albert Pike, high-level Masons, they speak of how low-level Masons are intentionally misled. They are lied to so that they don't understand what it is they're a part of. Ultimately, organizations, secret societies like Freemasonry and the Illuminati seek to reshape our world. They're not doing it for the common good of man. They're doing it because they believe they're enlightened, that they know some things that we don't, that they have the right to reshape the world as they see that it should be, because they're smarter than us. They're better than us. That's what they think. I would argue that these organizations are quite sinister. Whether you agree with that analysis or not, you cannot deny that these organizations have played a massive role in the shaping of our world. If you'd like to learn more about these secret societies and the true history of our world, please subscribe to this channel. Check out some of the previous content and check out the content that's coming your way. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.